Hey there. So I think it's setting up on Facebook. There we go. Hey there. So I think it's setting up on Facebook. Okay, sorry. Sometimes, sometimes technology is so much fun. Um, I'm here live just a little bit early because I had a couple people say yesterday, "Oh, I dropped in, but I didn't see you." So I figured that I'll sit here, hang out, wait for everybody to show up. And remember, anyone who's watching now or coming back to this, we will do a replay page, and we also leave the replays up in the group for about a week. So you've got access. And so we're just going to, give me just a second, hang on. Let me make sure I've got everything set up. I hate just fiddle farting around. Is that a word? I think it is in the South. I do, except that I want to make sure that if somebody comes in early, you are set. All right. Okay, let's officially go live. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate I got a lot of DMs yesterday. Sometimes people are a little reluctant to write things in the comments, and they'd prefer them to be private. So the ones that I repeat today, I am not using names, okay? In fact, most of the time I don't use names. Sometimes people will be like, "Oh, please use my name. This was amazing," whatever. And that's good. But up until then, I don't use names. So first, if you're on, tell me where you're from. Tell me what you're up to. Tell me what your takeaway was from yesterday if you actually got to watch it yesterday. And if you don't, at the very top under featured is it's pinned. So everything will be pinned up there for 1 week, so you'll be able to see it all. Okay, enough ums and enough fiddle farting around. It's not like I don't do this all the time. All right, first thing I want to say is that if you have a takeaway from yesterday, let me know. I do not see your comments. Let's see. I could be wrong. I think I can. Yes, I think I'm going to have comments set up today. So that's exciting. Yes, I think I'm going to have comments set up today. So that's exciting. Yes, I think I'm going to have. And unfortunately, the echo is there. All right. Geez, Louise, Kel. Okay, I want to just say what a couple of people said to me yesterday. One of the DMs I got that I thought was great was basically she said, "Oh, I love simple, easy, fun. What a great way to do things." And I believe that. Like, I really believe that the things we should do, or the things that we do, if we make them simple, they're easier to follow. If we make them easy, they're easier to stick to. And if we make them fun, they're more desirable, right? It's just, we want to do it instead of it's a have to, right? And anytime, like whether I'm teaching consistency or SugarFreedom or whatever it is, anytime you can make something simple, easy, and fun, then it just becomes doable. Okay. Another one I got, I'm just reading them off the list here. She says that she's tried this many times, but when she gives into the cravings, then she just gives up. And I would like to say that actually the next one addresses what I've just said, because I'm gonna read the next one too, and then both of them are the same. So the next one says, "I saw your email about eating the ice cream. Isn't that cheating?" Okay, so they're both the same thing, right? Two different sides. One's cheating because you did something, and one is, "Oh my gosh, I did it, so I give up." What happens when we're changing habits, which is what this is, or when we're changing our actions, what happens is that sometimes we slip. Sometimes we go back to our old ways. Sometimes we forget. Like, how many times have you forgot? Let's say you're going to be, I don't know, let me make something up. You're going to exercise 5 days a week, okay? And you do really well the first 3 days. You get really busy the fourth day and you forget. You just forget, right? It's not the end of the world, okay? This is a long game. We're not trying to get perfect immediately. And in fact, I don't think we should ever try and be perfect, because if we are, we will never get what we want, okay? when it comes to fitness, when it comes to sugar freedom, when it comes to any of these things we talk about, consistency. If you try and be perfect, it's not going to work. So just go for 80%, 90%. Oftentimes I tell people when I'm working with them on fitness that if they're hitting 100%, like they're getting everything they said they were going to do exactly right, they probably didn't raise the bar high enough. They probably weren't shooting for enough. So keep that in mind, okay? And as far as, is it cheating? I don't think of it as cheating. I think of it as, oh, well, that didn't work so well. It's a learning experience, right? And we're going to talk about these today because when we are shifting habits, we have to know how to do it right, or else it never works. Never works. Okay, let me pop in this slideshow that looks so much better than yesterday because our wonderful Nico took care of it for us. Let me share the screen. And then here we go. And give me 1 second. Yes, I do this all the time. I'm about ready just to start from right here. We're going to start from right here because as soon as I remember how to get this going, geez, it's been a funny week. I don't know about anybody else, but I will just say that for me, it's been this really crazy week. Lots of stuff going on. I think it's only Wednesday, but it feels like it's Sunday. And so it's really been interesting. And because of that, I really had to work on some of the things we're going to talk about today. Because when we're off kilter, then that's when we fall back to what we always have done before. So this is the question, and it's the question I always want to ask. What will sugar freedom do for you? This is actually a really big question. It's something I don't expect you to answer right now, but I'd like you to think about it because it's different for everybody, but in the end, the results are very similar. So what will sugar freedom do for you? And when I talk about sugar freedom, I'm not talking about no sugar and no fun food and no great wine or no beer or no whatever for the rest of your life. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about having the option to not have it, having the option to say no whenever you feel like it, and it isn't a big deal. Okay. So if you weren't on the call yesterday, I'm going to tell you that my quick story really quick. Quick story really quick. Here we go. Basically, actually, before I tell my story, I want to tell you something that one of my clients, Pat, sent me, and she sent it to me just a couple of days ago, and so I just wanted to share it. She says that, Kelly, checking in with you, I need to tell you about a win I had. In the last 2 months, my weight loss has plateaued, and I knew it had. It had been really bugging her, but she's been feeling stronger, but nothing was changing on scale or on her waist. She said she finally broke down and started focusing on her refined carbs, because like me, she really loves her pasta, and her sugar. I mentioned to her more than once that I thought she was adding too much sugar to what she did. She was really into using dates for sugar and a lot of stuff that's healthy, but it's still sugar. So she said she refocused on her carbs and sugar, and something happened. She started losing weight again, and even more important for her, losing inches around her waist. That's what she's been most concerned about. This has been a big thing for her for about 6 months, is that she's been trying to get that, belly fat, visceral fat down to a healthy level. And it's starting to happen. So what this is to say is that she was doing everything right fitness-wise. Okay? She was doing resistance training, she was doing mobility, she was doing cardio, she was really doing a great job, and she was leaving the nutrition / sugar piece out. She ate really well, actually. Her how she eats is very good, and she was just packing on too many refined carbs and too many sugary treats. So she's doing great, FYI. She said she's losing about a pound a week right now, which is more than she wants to do, but she's going to go with whatever's going on. So if we haven't met before, I'm Kelly Howard. I am known as the fitness consistency expert with a touch of adventure because I think fitness consistency is the most important thing that we can have as our lives as we grow. And I think if we throw in a touch of adventure, life gets so much more fun. And I always say, think of me as your personal guinea pig. The reason is that I test all these things on myself. And the first time I did a no sugar, it was a white knuckle experience. I didn't really know what I was going into. I didn't do a runway like we're going to talk about today. I thought, well, how hard could it be? Well, it was really hard, quite frankly. And it made me stop at the end of those 30 days. And I did it. I white knuckled and willpowered my way through that for 30 days. And I lost some weight. I lost some inches, all the stuff. But it wasn't fun. It wasn't easy and it wasn't simple. So I went back to the drawing board and thought about it and then just started using myself as a test and saying, okay, how can I change this? How can I make this easier? How can I make this work? So that's what this is. That's what SugarFreedom is. So first thing I want to talk about is why you need a runway and what a runway is. All right. For everybody who's already joined, and if you haven't joined, don't worry, you'll get an email later today and you can join us next month. We're going to do a whole live series. I think it's like 4 weeks of SugarFreedom. I'll be teaching. And we're going to have a pre-call next, I could be making this up. I think it's next Tuesday. And in that call, I'm going to talk about how to set up your runway exactly. What you need to be doing, whether you're doing it with me or on your own, it doesn't matter. Set up your runway. So what a runway is pick a time in the future, a week, 2 weeks. Don't go 3 weeks because it's too far away. A week or 2 weeks. Then you want to go through and you want to start being aware of your current habits. Okay? Just like start paying attention. So many times we just go through life and we're just not really aware of our habits. I had a client one time and she wanted to get off the sugar. She really wanted to get off the sugar. But every day at 3 o'clock, she ate a muffin. It's like, it was in the vending machine. She ate a muffin. And she said, I can't help myself. I go past that vending machine, there's the muffin, and it's just what I do. So I suggested to her, well, why don't we find a different restroom? Because she would go to the restroom, eat the muffin. Why don't we find a different restroom in your office, one that doesn't take you past the vending machine, and let's come up with some other new ways to replace that muffin. So for her, she needed awareness. She really wasn't aware because she was just like, it's just what happens. And it doesn't just have to be what happens. I mean, we have power. And that's one of the things I love about everybody I work with. We are powerful, okay? So then the next piece of your runway, as you're in runway, write it on a Post-it note, right? I carry a Post-it note. I have Post-it notes on my desk and in my office and wherever. And I'll just write notes down. So, like what triggered me? What's my current habit? What's going on? Awareness. Then what's in your pantry, fridge, and freezer? If possible, get rid of it. I don't care if it means that you throw it away, you give it to your neighbor, you give it to the homeless people. It just doesn't really matter what you do. But what it matters is that you have a clean slate to work with, okay? You aren't taunting yourself with stuff that, is in there. Like, I mean, I am a perfect example right now. So why I need a runway? I had a runway, but I didn't really go through my stuff. Like I don't really keep anything around here. I forgot that I bought ice cream bars for Phil a while back. So yes, it was there. It was a deal. And I noticed it, right? So you need to just go through everything and clear it out. I have a client who her sugar issue was that her husband had this craving for junk food. Like he ate junk food like nobody's business. And what she did, one day we're on a call and she's like, hey, I just got to show you guys his junk food cabinet. And she takes her phone over there and holds it up. And literally it's three doors of crap. I mean, like all the stuff you don't want to be eating, all the refined carbs, all the sugar, all the sweets, everything. So for her, she had to just do something different. She just told him that, she wants those doors kept shut all the time. In her mind, those doors didn't exist. But you need to be aware of what's in the pantry, fridge, and freezer and need to get rid of it. If it's not good for you for your Sugar Freedom month, then toss it. Get it out of the way. Take it over to the neighbor. I said, oh great, I had some really nice wines. I sent them over to my neighbor. I said, here, you hold on to them or you drink them. I don't care, but they're not going to be in my house while I'm doing this. Then you want to look at what upcoming events you have on your schedule. Okay. It doesn't mean that you can't do this. What it means is that you need to be aware and you need to know how you're going to handle it. Okay. And that is also like how you handle the pitfalls and fails. So this is an example. Next month, while I'm leading another round of Sugar Freedom, I have a weekend away with my sister. My sister and I, we like to drink champagne. We do. And so I know that for that 3 days that I'm with her, I'm going to just say, I'm on vacation from Sugar Freedom. I'm going to do what I want to do. And as soon as I get back, I am back on track. Or you can do like one of my clients is, so I'm in Houston, Texas, and we just had the big rodeo. So one of my clients actually was going to rodeo a lot, and she likes beer. That's her thing, is she loves beer. And she said, you know what? I just figured out that I could drink, if I wanted to have one beer, I would get the lightest beer there with the lowest, all the bad stuff content. And that would be my entire evening, one beer. And so it doesn't matter. I mean, those are two alcohol drinking examples. Some other examples might be, I have a client who had, she had a party at her house about a month ago, and she was going through her own Sugar Freedom. And so she just told everybody, like, if you want to bring treats, if you want to bring desserts, that's fine, that's wonderful, share them. Do not feel bad when I don't indulge with you. Perfect. So it just depends on how you're going to work with it, but don't let it just sneak up on you. And this works with fitness consistency too. So either way, like, know what's coming up, be aware, and know how you're going to handle it. And then, when you do it, if you have a fail, suddenly you eat the cookies or whatever it is, then you just come back. You just come back. That's all it is. It is nothing more than, oh, oops, and you start over. Because if you do like the person who DM'd me yesterday and said that, every time she just has what she called a fail, she just quit because obviously she can't do this. It's a learning process. It is a learning process, so don't worry about it. And then you need a good shopping list with the best choices, okay? And we'll talk a little bit about choices in a minute, but you really need that. Without that, you go back into the store and, next thing you know, you're in the cracker aisle again. So hidden sugar. Hidden sugar. Sugar is in foods because we crave sugar. And when we have foods that, when sugar is added into foods, it is more appealing to our taste buds. Like a perfect example, dressing. Just look at your dressing bottles. If you're not super cognizant of this, you're going to find that most dressings have a ridiculous amount of sugar in them. And it's unexpected, right? Like, why would you put that in a dressing? If you made it out yourself, you wouldn't use it, right? Even dressings that aren't like a sweet Italian. So look at that. Start to become really serious about labels. I can show you a really good example on my desk. Where is it? Right here. The supplement. So when I bought it the other day, I looked at the fine print. I bought it online, looked at the fine print online. I saw that it had 2 added sugars. Okay. I thought, okay, I can do that because I was willing to give the trade-off because it's a gummy and I don't have to swallow a pill. I can just chew the gummy. Great. I get it here, and then I notice it's 3 gummies per per supplement serving. So now that's 6 grams of added sugar. So I really had to think about it. I was like, is that worth it to me? Right now, yes. I've got, I don't know, I've got 60 days of it. It's something that I'd like to take. So yes, I'm going to do it. I have sent supplements back. I've said, you know what, I can just swallow the capsule. But you've got to really be cognizant, even me, like all of us do, because things get added in places you don't expect them. So I'm going to just check on Facebook and see if anybody has any questions. Okay. And while I do that, let me just pull it up really quick and take a quick check. If there's no questions, then the next thing I want to talk about are, do you substitute or do you skip? Okay. So, all right, give me 1 second and let me pull this up. All right. So can you substitute or can you skip? So what I mean by that is, if you're, let's say when you're cooking, like this is always a big deal in SugarFreedom, is that we have 1 week about cooking, okay? And cooking, a lot of times, if you're not really thinking about it, there is added sugar in recipes, right? Like added sugar if you're cooking Chinese food, or if you're cooking a red sauce. There's a lot of different recipes that call for sugar. When a lot of times you can start trying, what happens is if you just skip it, right? You just skip it. I have a little bag of maple syrup that I have had in my refrigerator for probably 10 years now. It's been there for quite a while. It's probably crystallized. But I bought it because a recipe called for it. So I used it in that recipe. And then next time I made the recipe, I thought, well, do I need it? Like, can I really tell the difference if I put in, 1 teaspoon of this stuff? And I didn't put it in, and I didn't tell the difference. I have pretty good taste buds. And so I just noticed that I never used that again. So just start looking at, like, when you're looking at hidden sugar, what's in your dressings? Can you substitute or can you skip? Can you replace it with something you make at home? Like I make my own dressing at home that just has vinegar, olive oil, and tzatziki, right? So for me, that works. And there's no sugar in it. So think about that. Can you substitute or skip? And then also look at, what are some options outside of just your usual bread, pasta, sweets, drinks? Okay. And I'll give you a few options, just like off the top of my head. For bread, you can use Ezekiel bread, which comes in the frozen food section. It's sprouted. It is really, like, as far as I can tell, it's really good for you. And it has no added sugar, and the carbs are very, there's no refined carbs in it, I'll put it that way. Or maybe you can go somewhere, like recently I was at a bakery, and the bread they had like a nut bread there, a nut and grain bread that had almost no flour. I mean, I asked her to show me the list, and like flour was one of the last things. And so, something like that, it's great. Pasta, there's zucchini noodles, there's quinoa pasta, there's lentil pasta, there's a lot of different kinds of pastas that aren't refined flour anymore. Sweets, use stevia, right? Stevia is just a leaf. Stevia instead of honey. Use for drinks, you can look at things like my one friend who uses non-alcohol wine when she wants to have a glass of wine because it's better, not the sweet one, but just the non-sweet one, better for her. Other drinks could be, there's kombucha out there that doesn't have a lot of sugar in there. There's kombucha with a lot of sugar. So you just have to look at labels and get to know it. So bottom line, become a label sleuth. It really matters. And if you're somewhere and it's not labeled, like when I was in that bakery, just ask them. Okay, replacements versus substitutions. This is something that you probably want to grab a piece of paper and just think this one through. The difference between replacements and substitutions. So a replacement is something that is long term. Okay, you're starting to replace this with this. And I'll give you an example in just a second. A substitution is a short-term fix. So for me, like a replacement, for years and years and years, years, my breakfast was coffee with some non-dairy or some soy creamer and a protein bar. See, I thought I was doing myself a great service. I thought it was really breakfast of champions. What I realized was that my soy creamer had, I don't remember what it was, 10 grams of sugar in it or something. It was way more than I thought. And my protein bar was like 25 grams of sugar. I mean, I was blown away because I wasn't used to really looking at labels right then. I just figured these are a healthy choice. This is what I'm going to have. Not so healthy. So I've replaced it with if I use a protein bar now, I use one that has, I don't think it has any sugar in it. Don't use it much. I usually use just oatmeal. And what I do with my coffee is I have learned to, if I froth milk, and I'm not a milk person. I haven't really had milk in my entire life, but I have learned that if I froth milk in the morning, it's not much milk, and it gives that coffee just enough of a sweetness that I'm fine. I don't need the sugar. Some days, like if I'm not doing SugarFreedom, I will add a little, like a eighth of a teaspoon of sugar, because it takes that little teeny bit of bitterness away from me. But otherwise, it's just the frothed milk. So that's a replacement. A substitution for me might be maybe if I'm not having any red wine or champagne with my sister, then I would probably have a sparkling water with some lime in it, or I don't know, a tea or different things like that. That's a substitution. So what you're really looking at though is on a long-term basis, what can you replace? Okay, this is once again goes back to that very beginning, awareness. So what can you replace? And then on a short term, what can you substitute? Maybe you like your dressing with added sugar. Maybe that's the thing that you don't feel like replacing, but you could substitute with a homemade one, or even like there's stuff in the stores that are no sugar. So start looking at these things. I don't want to go into a big long list on this, but just start thinking about what are some of the replacements and substitutions that you can look at, especially if you're going to join us next month, because we're going to really go into this there, because I think it's so important to have an arsenal of what works for you and awareness in your toolbox. So we talked about this briefly, but things you need to be aware of right now. One, your cravings. Okay, just like, what are the cravings that you have and why? One of my clients texted me yesterday and she said, oh my gosh, so on and so forth. Every time I walk past that candy jar in this office, I'm just like, I want it. So she's aware of her cravings, and she's now taking, she's using habit shifting tools to not have it. Because, like, one of the things with awareness is that she's aware of the fact that if she eats it, she's going to feel bad because it doesn't work for her. Some people can eat chocolate and it works just fine for them. Some people eat chocolate that has low sugar in it and it's fine. That's another replacement substitution choice. But these are just things to be aware of. Cravings, triggers. We don't want to go into that right now because it's a full week's worth of talking. But triggers are an important thing to know. It's what drives your behavior. Okay, we have emotional triggers. We have physical triggers. We have location triggers. We have people triggers. Like, there's a lot of different triggers that drive your behavior, and you want to be aware of those. You need habit shifting tools. And when I talk about habit shifting tools, some of them could be using EFT. It could be using visualization. It could be using your future self visualization, which was one of my favorites, and we'll probably do that one tomorrow. It could be like we did this the other day on my call, doing Superwoman pose. It's a big difference. It could be anything that shifts your brain, and preferably anything that shifts your brain from a desire for sugar to a happier state, because that's what your brain's looking for, right? Your awareness is, what do I really want? Accountability and support, these are huge. Okay, and I'm just going to let me talk really quick about, let me check. Oh, I'm not talking as quick as I did yesterday. So let me just talk about accountability really quick, and the accountability you don't want, okay? There's three big bad accountabilities. One of them is trying to use an app to change your actions. It won't work. We can turn an app off like that, right? So apps are a great idea until they aren't. The next one is the person that you're closest to, using your spouse or your partner or your roommate or whoever it is to help you stay accountable. That is like the number one person who is like, no, 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 let's just eat pizza and sit on the couch and watch Netflix tonight, right? And then the third one is your best friends. Your best friends, even though they want to hold you accountable, even though they really want to support you, their job really is to make you feel good. So if you say, oh my gosh, what a day did I have? I just want to eat ice cream all evening. They'll be like, well, that's okay. You've had a hard day. You can get back to this tomorrow. I mean, that's what best friends do. So those are the three big bad, the three big bads of accountability. Don't use them. You need a real accountability group. We in SugarFreedom, we create a real accountability group. We use texts, we use the Facebook group, we use all kinds of places, okay? We are all about accountability, so know that. And support. Support can be anything from your accountability group to a coach to whatever it is that we're looking forward to, because you are going to do SugarFreedom for 30 days, right? And then community. And community is having that surround you, having that group that surrounds you that really, really is here for you 100% to get what you need, SugarFreedom, not just what you want, okay? So you're going to plan for a lifelong of habit changes, but you don't have to do it all at once. And you don't have to give it all up. All right, that last question is the first question. What will SugarFreedom do for you? Like, this is the North Star, okay? So just think about it. Just think about it. How would you feel? What would it do different? Would it be how you wake up feeling? Would it be the energy levels? Because your energy levels will go up. Is it that your gut problems won't bother you so much? Is it because your stomach will get smaller? Is it because the scale will go down? The pants will fit? Like, what will it do for you? Usually people come in with the desire to, lose the weight, lose the inches. They come out having said, wow, okay, I feel good. I wake up energetic in the morning. I sleep better. I'm ready for more. So those are the things that, they're kind of like they're really the North Star, but we also have to have the tangible things. And all right, I mentioned this yesterday. These are what a few of my clients have said. It just works. It works. It works for me. It works for you. It works for everybody that does it. And you don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to do it well enough that you start shifting some of those habits. And let's talk about real quick what happens at the end of 30 days. And I'll go into this more tomorrow, but just what happens at the end of 30 days. At the end of 30 days, people never go back. It's this thing where, once you have been stretched, you never go back to who you were before. You're always a little different. And it happens with SugarFreedom. Once your awareness of this stretches, then after 30 days, it's not like, boom, okay, we're back to all the sugar. It's 30 days, okay, all right, what do I want to do differently? What do I want to go back to doing? How do I want to live differently? So we then do maintenance. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit about maintenance tomorrow, but we then do maintenance because maintenance is the lifetime of making this work and not having it just be a flash in the pan. All right. So I would just want to tell you, stopping sugar can be really difficult. Okay. The reason it's really difficult, and when I say sugar, of course, it's all the stuff, whether we're talking about refined carbs, alcohol, wine, beer, sugar, it doesn't matter. Stopping it, even for 30 days, can be hard because of two things. One of them is that we have tried to depend on willpower in the past. Willpower doesn't work. I mean, willpower lasts for a little while, but anyone who's ever tried to do anything with willpower knows it's whatever, it doesn't last. The other reason it's difficult is because our brain craves these things. Our brain craves these things for two reasons. One reason is because they light up the receptors, the happiness receptors in our mind, right? So actually all over our tongues, our mouth, everything. So when we have it, we get that immediate rush of gratification, right? There's a little bit more that goes on here too, because the other thing is that when we're having a craving, what we're really doing is something's bothering us. Something's bothering us. It could be a trigger, it could be a visual, it could be all the other things that we've already talked about, but there's something that's literally eating at us, and we need to learn how to sidestep it. Move your attention, sidestep it. I can tell you every time I'm doing this and I have a fail, it's because I catch myself stressed, and instead of moving my attention or doing one of the many tools that I've created or shown people to do, I just dive into the stress. So that's why it's very difficult. It's because our brains have certain ways of doing things and certain things they want, and we need to learn how to work with it. All right, so what's next? So tomorrow we're going to talk about pulling it all together. We're going to talk about a little bit more about that accountability to avoid. We're going to plan for pitfalls. We're going to look ahead. And then I want to talk about using future you visualization, future you thoughts, future you whatever, to support your habit shifts now. It is actually a very powerful thing to do and something that we don't always do or think about. So let me know in the comments how I can support you. Okay. And also, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. You can DM me too if you don't want them if you don't want to put your questions or comments in the comments down below. Just you can DM to me. And so I am wishing you a very, very happy and healthy life. I will see you tomorrow, and we will wrap this up. As far as, actually, I should just let you know, SugarFreedom for April starts on April 4th, and we'll be going for a month. Once again, I know things are happening in April. Things are happening every single month. I know Easter happens for people, and Easter tends to be, like get together with family, have the treats, all that stuff. You take that little bit of time off if you need to, and then you just come right back in. It's good training for life. Super good training for life. If you're traveling, you take that travel time like I'm doing with my sister, and then I come back and I get right back into it. This is real life, okay? The truth is that you never, ever, ever, we never, ever, ever have that perfect moment in time where we're going to get our sugar cravings under control. We're going to get our fitness, perfect. All those things. Perfection doesn't happen. Okay? Life happens. We work with it. So please, like if you would like to come join me on SugarFreedom, I'll drop a link to you in the comments, but we start April 4th. And we'll go for a month. And what happens there is that I give a coaching class every week. There's an online portal for you where it has a whole course that you can go through. And I'll talk to you tomorrow about how to use the course. And then there's the accountability. the community, and everything that you need to make this simple, fun, and easy. Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.